Merry meet and welcome. Welcome to the realms of mysticism, the occult, and magic, where your possibilities are only limited by your imagination. Welcome to the Witch's Cauldron and discover the knowledge you seek. Gather round the cauldron and even stay for a spell. Brightest blessings to you. Merry meet and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name's Paula. Today's video is on the upcoming solar eclipse in Gemini that will be occurring on June the 10th. Now, remember that we had a lunar eclipse of the super full moon in Sagittarius on May 26th. And that event actually started off the eclipse season that has now led us into this solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse was much about endings and getting rid of things that no longer serve you. This could be, items in your house that you need to just declutter and get rid of, or even ending relationships. Remember that during eclipse season, there's almost a sense in the energy flow that we are like between worlds, especially from our perspectives as magical practitioners. Our powers and energies can be heightened. We may have more issues staying grounded and centered. Our thoughts may literally just run away with us. And that's because we as magical practitioners are more in tune with the universal flow and ebb of energies and tapping those energies to bring about changes that we want to see. Magic is nothing but taking energy, focusing it, and releasing it to bring about change that you want to see. Think of eclipse season as almost like a hard reboot of the universal flow of energy. It can really wreak havoc on magical practitioners, and many magical practitioners completely refuse to do any kind of magic or ritual work during an eclipse. I'm one of those that would rather go in there, harness those energies, and bring about change, okay? And be able to really tap into that special flow of energy from an eclipse. Whether it be a lunar eclipse or solar eclipse. One of the most powerful rituals I ever did was during the total solar eclipse that we had a few years ago in the United States. We were outside. I did it with a couple of friends. All of us tapped into that consciousness and into that flow of energy to really make some significant changes in our lives. So it's all about your perspective. Another thing that this eclipse energy can, especially as intense as things are right now, it's going to have an effect on us for about the next 6 months. So through the rest of 2021, we're going to be in that flow. It's going to be more pronounced and stronger on the actual eclipse events, but the next 6 months are going to be kind of like hang on for the ride, okay? It's already been a lot of hang on because it's a roller coaster since the lunar eclipse back on May the 26th. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on. Another thing that may be throwing you off kilter a little bit, especially as a magical practitioner, is the fact that the Earth is being bombarded with photonic light right now. The Earth is moving through the photonic belt. And it hasn't done this for about 12,000 years. So this is a very special energetic time. And what this means is that you may tend to operate on a much higher frequency than you normally do. So you may be more prone to spirit communications and spirit of a higher frequency. So like guides, guardians, and even that I have personally noticed, deities reaching out to you that you may have never worked with in the past, or you've worked with the kind of what I call generic god and goddess or lord and lady energy in your practice, but had never really bonded with a particular deity. Now deities may actually reveal themselves to you and reach out. For instance, for me, I am usually working very firmly in the Celtic pantheon. And recently, deities from the Norse pantheon, in which I have never worked, have been reaching out to me, not only with messages for me and what they want me to do, but also with messages for friends of mine who follow a heathen spiritual path. They've been telling me what they want of them. So the old gods are rising right now. So you may connect with new deities or connect with one you've worked with in the past on a much deeper level, because they are rising up and they are letting us know what they want from us and that what they are preparing us for. Another thing that may help you with this photonic light may be going outside and kind of letting your body take in that light. Okay, this can help keep you, raise your frequency, flip you from like a negative mindset to a more positive outlook and positive frequency. And what I mean by that is negative thoughts are on a lower vibrational level. Positive thoughts are on a higher vibrational level. We are our own worst critics. And instead of going around and being so hypercritical of yourself, spin it into a positive. Think about positive things that you want to see, things that you want to manifest from this very special high frequency energy. This is also a really good time. That photonic light is also a really good time for you to charge your crystals. It will put your crystals on steroids, especially ones that are of a higher frequency, like selenite, clear quartz, and celestite, just to name a few. People who are empaths may have a very hard time shutting down the noise from the collective, from the human collective, and the chatter from humanity. It is really important for you to shield yourself, and this may be a perfect time for you to actually create a crystal shield, through a talisman or an amulet of some kind that you charge during this time to help you shield from the chatter. The solar eclipse will actually occur on June 10th, 2021 at 19 degrees 47 minutes of Gemini. That will occur at 3:52 a.m. Pacific, daylight saving time in the US, which would be 6:52 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time in the US, 10:52 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and 11:52 a.m. in the UK. This will be a North Node solar eclipse. Okay, so this means, remember that solar eclipses are big new moon influence. Okay, so this solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse, was about endings and getting rid of things that no longer serve you, right? This solar eclipse will be more about new beginnings, what you want to manifest, what you want to bring about, new ideas. Okay, so check your chart and see where 19 degrees 47 minutes of Gemini falls in your chart to see what house or aspect may be the most affected. For me, my North Node is in Gemini. Okay, so it's my North Node and those influences that will be most affected for me. This is a great time to do a ritual to plant a seed for manifestation based on where 19 degrees 47 minutes of Gemini falls in your chart, whatever house it is, okay, whatever aspect it is. Remember that when an eclipse occurs in the North Node is where we need to be headed. It also emphasizes, being in the North Node, new beginnings. During the time of the eclipse, there is a whole lot of mutable energy going on right now. We have 5 planets in mutable signs. And remember that mutable signs are the elements changing, fluid, chameleon energy. They can vary wildly and can be somewhat unpredictable. These energies also bring about an atmosphere that is more malleable to change, okay? Right now, we have Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, and we have the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Gemini during the eclipse. We have one planet in a fixed sign. I'm having a hard time with my words today. And Uranus is in Taurus, Taurus being the fixed Earth sign. And Uranus is a planet of destabilization. It's chaotic. So it's about shaking up the stability of what we have known in the past. A lot of people right now feel like they have no direction, they have no anchor, they're being destabilized. This is why it is so important for magical practitioners to make a conscious effort to stay grounded and centered and not go flying off everywhere, okay? Remember that Gemini is ruled by Mercury, but this eclipse is conjunct the Sun and the Moon, meaning that they are about 1 degree apart. Mercury is retrograde at this time. You want to talk about, communications being all shook up and everything being ass backward, nothing working. Well, Mercury retrograde, hello, how are you doing? This energy puts the eclipse in our heads. This is about thinking processes and mental acuity. This really allows us to kind of, observe our self-thoughts and how we speak to ourselves in our own little brains. Remember I said we are our own worst critics. It may be hard to turn off that negative thought process and flip it into a positive. You might want to try something like sticking Post-it notes all over your house of positive things about yourself and positive things that you have in your life or positive things that you want to manifest, to try and trick your brain into a more positive mindset rather than dwelling on, you know, the negative or lower vibrational stuff. During this time, we are going to be bombarded by information and disinformation all over the place. But we have Neptune in Pisces squaring the Sun, Moon, and Mercury. This energy encourages you to get out of your head and into your intuition and your feelings instead of thinking and overthinking and tending to go for the analysis paralysis, which the energy might encourage you to do, is to then embrace, get out of that and go to your intuition and your gut and your feelings and embrace them. Empaths, psychics, and mediums may really feel a surge of their energy and their abilities. You may, if you were, let's say in the past, a clairvoyant or a clairsentient, you may pick up something like clairaudience or clairgustance during this period of time. You may have another ability that dials things up for you. And it's also, like I said, it's going to be about the intuition and the feeling and not the mental processes or the logic. Okay? And like I said, empaths, you are going to have a really hard time during this energy and for the next 6 months. I really, really encourage you to get into a habit of shielding, shutting down. I've had to shut down a lot. I'm a medium. I'm not an empath, but I stay shut down most of the time these days because it's just healthier for me to do so. But there's going to be a lot of stuff and a lot of information and disinformation that your intuition will be able to help you find what is the truth. Neptune is in Pisces, and that is going to pull you to a lot more creative endeavors. This may be a time for you to create, to embrace the creative side of you. Make something for your altar. Do art magic. Create sigils. Create talismans, amulets, charms. Make your own divination system. If you're in a very negative headspace right now, you can feel completely overwhelmed or feel like you are in a fog and you cannot find your way. You may feel like you're in a daze almost. Your thoughts and words can become scrambled. So again, staying grounded and centered is extremely important, and embracing a higher vibrational level rather than just focusing on the negative will help you. The solar eclipse can be a great time to do Yin Yang Magic. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's splitting your ritual and your altar into a yin side and a yang side. The yin side is your shadow side. It's something you want to change, okay? It's the negative, all right? The yang side is the light side, or that which will help you change, okay? The yin side could be something, let's say, to do with an addiction, say an addiction to food. It could represent something like binge eating or a craving for sugars and carbs, okay? The yang side or the light side can represent the energies that can help you deal with that, you know, carb craving, for instance. So that could be something like willpower, self-control, having a stable blood sugar and glycemic index. You choose items for the yin and the yang side that correspond to those intentions. So you have a double-sided ritual. You have a, I want to deal with the negative, So here's the positive that I want to put in its place. This is especially effective because during a solar eclipse, it's about the light coming back and new beginning. Also, with the energies at play right now, this is a new start in communications of various types, including information and disinformation. There's a lot of that going on all over on both sides. Saturn is moving through Aquarius. Saturn is the planet of controls. Okay, Aquarius is linked to social media. Saturn is now in retrograde, so there may be more censoring and more like shutting down of what various platforms consider to be disinformation. And you also have to remember that Gemini is also associated with social media because it's the sign of chatter and gossip in this. More platforms, large platforms, may begin censoring, locking down, shadow banning what's being out there for their version of the truth or what they want you to perceive the truth to be. And it may actually, what I think it's going to do is cause some creators to move to smaller social media platforms. Especially like live streamers moving, from platforms maybe like Twitch to Trovo, or DLive or whatever, moving over to other smaller social media platform. I encourage you during this time to take a really hard look at both sides of the issues. Instead of being down there and being set, take a 10,000 foot view and look at what's really going on. Listen to both sides, because somewhere in the mix, you will follow your intuition and find your truth, okay? And find out the information that you need to hear. Don't rely on what's being served up on a platter right in front of you. Be smart. Actually look at both sides of things or at all angles of an issue. Because just think, when you take light and you put it through a prism, the light refracts in all different directions, right? It shines light in a whole bunch of different directions. This is Gemini energy, because Gemini is all about choices and duality. It's the sign of the twins. Choices we make now may be some of the most important choices that we make in our lifetimes, because of all the various energies that are at play and have been at play for the last couple of years and will be at play through about 2026. With each choice that you make, it's going to be extremely beneficial if you ask, is this worth it in the long run? Another energy that is going to be in play is Ceres, the asteroid. And Ceres in mythology is the goddess of harvest, grain, and food supply. And Ceres is exactly conjunct Uranus in Taurus at 12 degrees. I've mentioned this before in my previous videos. I do believe there will be further interruptions to the world food supply. Uranus is a planet of disruption and chaos. It being conjunct and challenging Ceres and Taurus, that are both connected to food, abundance, providing for our families, things of that nature. It's that challenge. It's that chaotic disruption. So there could be some extreme earth events during this period of time, like additional volcanic eruptions. We've already seen them in previous videos where I said they were going to be happening, and they're happening in the places where I said they were going to be happening. Can be more large earthquakes, can be extreme weather events, or other events. Like in the southern United States right now, the cicadas are coming out of the ground after 17 years. Okay, when they come out, they chew up everything. This can affect crops. And they're pretty destructive. Think like billions and trillions of big old nasty looking loud bugs chewing everything up that they can get to. If you have the money and you can, just start putting aside a few shelf stable things, dry goods, things that you like, and don't be surprised over this summer in the northern hemisphere and in the southern hemisphere during the winter, over this winter, if the food shelves are not as stocked, be that in places like the US and other countries where you have a broader choice, you may be down to like one choice and having to make do. This entire year of 2021 is affected by Saturn being square Uranus. And it is coming to its second exact square on June the 14th. Remember, Uranus is freedom and Saturn is control, right? The first square happened in February, and this was when most of the world was in lockdown, right? A lot of the world was in lockdown. The second one will be on June the 14th. The third square will occur December 24th. Usually when the square happens, there is an echo of what happened before. We can expect another period of more controls and restrictions. Even as things seem to be like in the US, as far as the pandemic is concerned, that things may be easing up, things are opening back up, etc. Other parts of the world are still, really deep in the pandemic. Saturn has a stronger effect in this square on June the 14th. So expect more restrictions and more controls to be put in play. Like I said, with the social media and platforms shutting stuff down, more restriction, more controls, more, locking down things. And remember, I'm going to say it again, mainstream media is filtering and presenting information in one way or another, depending on which news outlet you watch, whether you do CNN, you do MSNBC, you do Fox, whatever it is, whether you do BBC or whatever. Information is being presented in a particular way to sway the public to do X, Y, or Z. Social media outlets are the same. It's been shown, like YouTube shadow panned a lot of American conservative channels last year, and they're still shadow banned. Their videos are not being put out other than to people who subscribe to the channel. They just changed terms of service on YouTube. They're really tightening down on what they're going to allow and what they will not allow. Just be smart with what you consume on social media, mainstream media. Take it all in and you decide what the truth and your reality is. Okay? Really observe. Come up above the noise and let your intuition guide you to the truth. Don't forget to take advantage of the photonic light that is present right now. More controls are going to be coming in the next several months. Try and keep that higher vibrational energy going that the photonic light brings. And guys, we can get through it together, okay? As I always say, my friends, merry we did meet, merry we will part until we merry meet again. Be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.